Good afternoon and welcome to Baturdays in the BatCave.
Did it actually work? Because I didn't hear it.
You didn't hear it?
No,
I didn't hear anything.
I don't think it actually worked. We just sat here for a minute listening to it and listening to nothing.
I heard it. Did the audience not hear it?
Probably not, but maybe they did.
Well, how could... Oh, man. Well, let me play it again and see if they can hear it. I don't... All right, well, whatever. We'll try it again some other time. You wait, Johnny says we heard it. He says the sound of silence. Heard it. I heard you, but I mean...
That's weird.
Did you hear the theme song that played for like a minute with the official logo? Anybody out there?
Smashing success.
Okay, let's see if you can hear this.
Apparently some people heard it, or at least most people heard it.
This is, well, our guest is Joachim from Joachim Comic Center. How are you doing, Joachim?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Travis Gilmer saying, no, we didn't hear it.
All of you special chosen ones heard it.
Well, all right, I'll have to figure that out. Darn it. I'll figure it out with Nate. There's a whole theme song that goes with the background, which I can change now, I guess.
I heard it during the test, but not in the actual thing.
Yeah, we heard it during the test. That's really odd.
But the most exciting thing is that the OmniDog theme song is available to use on Instagram. So Jess is famous now. So if random people happen to look up Omni and the song portion of Instagram, they'll see OmniDog's Vault, which I'm sure a lot of people do that.
Well, I'll do it now.
There you go.
And Dying Breed Collectors, our sponsor, there we go, has 10% off all Marvel this month if you use the code OmniDog. So go to dyingbreedcollectors.com. He has a huge selection of Marvel. He wants to sell it to you 10% off. And there you go. He's our sponsor, and we'll talk about him again further on in the show. But we're here to talk about Joachim's philosophy of minimalism and collecting, and just what life is like in his country, what life is like being a minimalist that collects, and any tangents that happen to come up in the chat. How long have you been doing your channel on YouTube, Joachim?
I think I started my channel in summer of 2012. And I started making videos 1 year right after that, starting to subscribing to people with comic book influence and channels.
Right, because I remember yours was one of the first ones somehow that I started seeing when I started to get into collecting. And I think through your channel, I found Schizo Cookie, who spoke very good English also.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell where she was from. Her accent was much different than yours.
Yeah, she takes a British accent to her English when she talks.
Oh, okay, so that she's trying to throw us all off.
And Johnny wants to know where you're from, so it might be good for the chat if you were just said exactly where you're from. I'm sure most people know, but just in case.
Yeah, I'm a Swedish comic book collector, so I'm from Sweden.
Isn't there another Swedish comic collector on YouTube? I forget what his...
We have Dano's Comics. Dano is a very good friend of mine, and pretty much he and I, we started, when we really started to do our YouTube videos, we went to Comic-Con each and every year, almost, I think, 4 years in a row, and just pushed each other to read new stuff and check out different things. And of course, every year with the annual Comic-Con just refuel that nerdiness and feeling and fandom of it. So yeah, real close friend, great guy, and has a great YouTube channel as well with a big archive of review videos and whatnot of Ed Brubaker, which I know you guys are fans of.
Oh yeah, I wanted to steal an Ed Brubaker book from Jess, but he was making sure I wasn't doing that last week when I was with him. Didn't you actually look at the shelf where it was after I left?
I did. Well, I was watching you because you were near it the whole time.
I didn't even notice.
Up in the library near the sweater closet. That's where it is.
Tyler, you're too busy eating the 24 donut holes you bought this morning that I heard you buy at the donut store.
Your invite never got sent because this is Baturdays and we're interviewing Joachim. So cut it out.
We invite you to Baturdays as much as you invite me to unbox and chill.
Here's Johnny. He's in Finland.
Oh, neighbor.
Exactly. Your neighbors. I've been to Sweden and Finland. And here's our chance. American Tongues couldn't possibly pronounce it, but I always ask him to pronounce it because when I was in Sweden right after college, I went traveling with a friend of mine. She was a girl, not a girlfriend, but she was a gal pal of mine. And we stayed with several different Swedish families, and they introduced me to the Swedish alphabet and numeral system. And the number 7 is unpronounceable to American tongues. So
yeah,
you have the floor now. Let's hear how you say the number 7 in Swedish.
Okay, should we count up from 1?
Yeah,
then?
yeah, great. Count up from 1.
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
What?
7. Come on, Jess. Give it a try.
1 through 6, I'm like, okay, yeah, I could say those. And then we come to 7, and it's like, whoa.
4 seemed kind of hard.
What's 4?
4.
Whoa, yeah, that is.
I heard that one. Thought that one was hard too. But
Yeah.
Hooniverse has a good question for Joachim. Are the American comics that you collect translated into Swedish, or are they in English? So do they even have Swedish translations of comics, of American comics?
Let's see. In the 90s, when I was raised and everything, and checking out different comic books that were on the rack in supermarket stores or whatever, we had translated comic books like the Ultimate Spider-Man line and Turtle Comics, and I can't remember we have much other titles, more social satire and whatnot, just funny books. But some of them has been translated, but really when it comes to the modern comic shops and everything, for the shops that we do have in Sweden, which is like 5 or 6, I don't know really, but we do import from America with the American comic book titles and not really translating anything.
So you have to be, well, English is taught from a very young age in Sweden, so it's pretty much a second language to everybody in the country that's your age anyway, correct?
Yeah, I think, let's see here. We start with an easy English class at the age of 7 or 8 already.
That's really smart. So you have so you're taught how to read it too, so you don't have a problem reading graphic novels from the US.
No, absolutely not. I usually say that I'm fluent in English almost.
Right. Okay.
Well, we're speaking from the experience of ignorant Americans who don't learn a language until they're like in middle school, and then they give up eventually.
But I think what really got me to speak it or understand it fluently was like binge watching American TV shows like The Simpsons or something like that on TV, as you would read the translated words as they were speaking. So with the subtitles, you got a lot in to your head, because as you know, the TV does all the tutoring and everything when you're left alone.
Marcelo, you know me better than this. I'm not going to do any editing at all. I may pause before I say his name, but that's how it's going to go. I don't edit at all. You know better than that. Yeah, I don't even think Taylor's seen any of The Simpsons.
I've seen an episode or two. Not much, though.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up, and I feel like a lot of 90s kids got into it once they were younger. I just wasn't allowed to watch a ton of TV shows when I was younger.
I don't think I should have watched it with the age that I had.
I remember my dad getting upset with me whenever he walked in on me watching Real Monsters. Yeah, I wasn't alled to watch that show.
Wasn't that on Nickelodeon or something?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch because there was witchcraft in it. It took a long time for my parents to let me read Harry Potter.
Oh, I bet. Now we eventually will get to the topic. Sometimes it takes us a little bit to get to the topic, but
by a little bit he means an hour.
Yeah.
I know.
But what do you have a primary focus of your collection? Like what books? Is there a particular character or publisher that you really like to focus on? Or are you, like Batman or Deadpool or something? Or are you more of a fan of like everything?
No, I'm very specific.
Oh.
So of course, majority of my books are Marvel and DC books. I think that maybe I have more independent comic books, if you would count it, comics that are not published under DC or Marvel. So my manga books, my Vertigo titles, my Image titles, and smaller publishers. I think that's maybe the second biggest bunch out of the books, but still within all of those categories, it's very laser focused on, for DC, it's the widest range actually, because Batman is my absolute most favorite character, and from Marvel it's Spider-Man. But that doesn't mean that I don't dive into checking out other characters, but it makes it harder for other characters to stay within the collection and everything, because there's so much out there, and I'm still curious and everything. So with Marvel, mainly Spider-Man. With DC, mainly Batman, but then a wider range of books like the JSA and Justice League and Green Lantern and characters. Anything Jeff Johns touched on, pretty much, within DC. And Marvel, 80%. Spider-Man, maybe 90%.
And you did mention Ed Brubaker. So are you a fan of his crime comics?
Let's see. I read Criminal, volumes 1 and 2 of his publishing, and I think I actually started rereading that book, but then I found myself that I never got back to it, and I pretty much sold it because I thought that, and that's
you just shot a dagger into the poor minister's heart.
But I want you to know that just because you're selling a book doesn't mean that you are criticizing the book itself, more so than you say that I will give my time to other books. And I was thinking like, I have Criminal. It's a story about these thieves and their lives and how they interconnect with each other from story to story in somewhat way. But then I have other Brubaker stuff with similar themes that I find more appealing, like the Gotham Central Omnibus, which I recently reread last week. And I feel that I get sort of the same thing out of it, even though that I maybe don't remember everything from Criminal, but it's me choosing something before the other. And then there's, of course, Daredevil by Brubaker. I cannot ignore that. I love it each and every time I do a reread. So, yeah. I've checked out some stuff from Brubaker. Absolutely.
Okay. Johnny says, I think this is interesting. For what it's worth, a lot of neat comics are translated into Finnish over here. A wonderful friend of mine just wrapped up 19 years of editing and translating Spider-Man into Finnish.
Whoa.
That's a lot of time spent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
let's see. I'm just seeing what the Comic Bound here, famous Comic Bound. I can't stay, but I just popped in to say hi and to say I'm so happy to see Joakim on the channel. He's good people. I'll try and pop back later. Keep those tangents going. Okay.
Ooh,
Oh.
and Hoonie made the. I hate puns, man. In terms of pun, that's decent, but
That's a pretty good one, I think.
the reason I don't like puns is because you feel like you're defeated. You just kind of go, like, even the laugh is like, huh. It's not like you actually laugh. It's like you've been beating a chess move or something.
I liked it, Hooniverse. So you are you've made a video, the most recent, not the most recent, but one of your videos that I watched a couple times, and I generally don't watch anybody else's YouTube videos because I don't want to either.
Thank you.
I don't want to pick up mannerisms or ideas from anyone else. It's not that I'm not a fan of anyone else. It's just that I don't.
Usually it's the opposite, Jess. Don't people usually pick up ideas from you and me?
Yeah, people steal ideas. Omar, right? Yeah, people steal ideas from us. Oh, and Transatlantic Omnidog is in the chat.
Is this the newest Omnidog avatar?
I think this is the newest. Transatlantic Omnidog is the newest one. The video that has stuck with me of yours was the kind of the minimalist approach to collecting, where you went through how your apartment was very. It's a minimalist approach, and Taylor would say, after visiting my basement, that I'm the exact opposite. I'm a maximalist. I want everything everywhere, crowded into every space. But you are.
You're like the Caligula of comics.
I am.
Yeah. You got everything. You got everything.
I think that might get edited out. I don't know that I want to be compared to Caligula. So you have a closet, very minimalist. You only wear white and black. Your apartment is very sparse, which is how you like it. And then you have your collection. And I think a lot of people are interested in the mindset of someone who can survive quite happily on a minimum of the things, but then wants to buy a lot of Spider-Man or a lot of Batman, like as you do.
Yeah. Well, okay. So there's certain differences. So, and minimalism, if we take up the word, I mean, it can be seen very differently from person to person. So, of course, I'll share my take on it. And to be a minimalist and everything, I don't think just by decluttering, let's say, sell off a bunch of books, doesn't make you a minimalist, just selling off your stuff, because what you do is decluttering. That is something that people do. They spring clean or something like that, and get rid of stuff and then buy new stuff. But something that I think adds to minimalism is not only the taking control and get stuff out, but also have to take some control on what actually gets in, because otherwise you'll just repeat the process over and over again, and you won't get anywhere with it, money wise or collection wise, material wise, I think. So, I mean, the last thing that I looked at when I decided to sell off some stuff that I felt that I didn't need, or that I didn't use, or that I just didn't like, I was thinking, why do I have this? So it started off with maybe just a small desk by the side of my couch, and then you took the things inside of it, looked at that, and until I got to the point where it's the comic books, the graphic novel collection, and then I moved, packing it all up in 60 boxes or something like that, filling up with graphic novels, and 5.5 you know, those billy shelves, those 5 wide billy shelves and 1 thin one to hold the whole collection. It was over 900 graphic novel books at the time. And my dad just said, when you're moving back after you're done here with your education, you'll have 2 of these big billy shelves or we're not helping. And I think he was kidding, but I still understand what he meant by it. And so I previously, also before I moved, like a half year before that, I had an urgency that I felt that I want to start to reread some of my stuff because I can't remember half of the stories in the books that I already have. And I'm just buying in new books and always catching up on those. Never get time to go back to my old ones. So why do I keep my old books if I won't ever have time to go back to them? And with that, I started to tackle my graphic novel collection. And I don't know. Do you want me to continue? I feel like I'm taking up all the air.
I'm laughing at Jess's new name. I thought you didn't want to embrace that name.
I changed my mind.
I saw that now.
I'm going to lean into it now.
There wasn't a vomitorium in his collection, but
Vomitorium. It's like the most famous Bill Murray sketch I think there is on SNL.
Well, the biggest thing I want to ask is, you being a minimalist, I'm guessing as time goes on, maybe you'll become more minimalistic in things. Do you think there might come a day where you don't collect physical editions anymore of comics and just read digital?
I mean, I haven't even dipped my toe into digital comics yet, actually. Maybe I've checked something. Okay, maybe I've checked some free comic books on Comixology just to see how it looks and everything. But I've never bought anything from DC or Marvel. I don't think we have a DC Access app in Scandinavia right now. We have Comixology Access and Marvel Unlimited. And Marvel Unlimited, knowing that it's there, helped me to sell off some standard size Spider-Man books after I finished my Spider-Man readathon, because I thought it was the brand new day, big time era of Spider-Man, and these are bound to get a omnibus collection at some point. And if they're not, okay, then I'm fine with reading it digital the second time around. But that helped me clear up a lot of space and get a lot of money back to keep on furthering other collected editions that's being released. And
yeah, that is a big surprise that they haven't released Dan Slott Omnis yet. I'm sure Omar's brought it up to Marvel a lot, but that's one series that people are really waiting for.
The Spider-Man?
Yeah, especially the Superior Spider-Man stuff, because every other format is out of print. The hardcovers, the complete collections, maybe the small trades are out of print, but there's like no good way to really collect his full run. Even there are big pockets of his run that are out of print, and they're really hard. Big time, I have those complete collections. You can't buy those anymore. Some of the worldwide stuff's out of print, so they have to put that back into print in some way. I'm guessing with Omnis. That'd be like 5 or 6 omnibuses, though. That's a lot of material to put out. That's 10 years of material.
Yeah, I would say it may be even more than 5 or 6 when you think it's 10 years. Taylor's been instrumental in helping me get into Hoopla, which has helped a lot. And the calligraphic Omnidog says, I find that library loans and Hoopla have helped a lot to read what I want to without feeling like I need to spend space and money for that material. I agree with that. I read The Last God from DC, or the Black Label title, on Hoopla, and it helped me decide that I wanted to buy the book. And that's what I'm going to be doing going forward, is reading a lot on Comixology Unlimited or Hoopla or the Marvel or DC app, because since I am the Caligula of comics, I am totally out of space. Taylor saw some of my piles of floor shame here, and
I saw your little candy hideouts too. I didn't point them out because your wife was in the room.
Hey, dude, what is with you today?
What do you mean? She's not there.
Between you and me, okay?
Oh, that was a secret. But you talked about it on your Instagram. I know it was a secret.
Oh, well, she doesn't go on Instagram. She could turn this on at any time.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, thank you.
We've talked about a lot of things you don't want her to hear on the air, so I didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just teasing you. And your wife discovered my graham cracker.
Yeah, she was like, Kate walks in, she's like, there's a lot of graham crackers back here. He's like, shh.
So you have your collection that I would say is very carefully curated, and that has that's helped me in the way that I want to curate my collection, because I do have too much stuff, and I've already said I'm not getting to it all. I'm genuinely not getting to it all. I'm looking at you, Savage Sword of Conan and Conan the Barbarian. Am I really gonna get to you? As much as I loved you growing up reading, there's like 8 omnis up there, and I don't know that I'm genuinely gonna get to those.
I helped you decide that you're never going to read the Golden Age omnis that you have.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time letting go of those because I loved the Golden Age material that I read as a kid. If those had come out when I was 13, those would be the most read books in my collection. But the Golden Age omnis, those are things I can curate out. I can, there's a lot of books that I could curate out, and but it's taking me. So you're young and you've already developed the mindset, which I think is great. And I've had an accumulation mindset my whole life, and I'm at the point in my life where I actually do need to start I need to declutter to the not to the point of minimalism, because that's not my philosophy as it is yours.
I mean, it's not a magic number that you could get to. There's not a big enough number for the perfect collection, as there's not a small enough number for enough. I mean, I'm not searching for that in my own curating or buying. I mean, the books that I have are the ones that I like and enjoy and want to reread again.
Right.
And it has taken me to heighten my standards a bit for my own opinion on what I find is good comics. And then someone commented that good comics are no longer good enough. And that helped me immensely to get rid of much more. Just heighten my standards. And yes, going about it book per book. And it helps immensely to also reread what you have. And if you give yourself the time.
Where do you buy your books? Are there?
Right now, I'm pre-ordering my books from dcbservice.com. I switched over from instocktrades.com when I came to the fruition of thought that if I start pre-ordering, then I have to know what I like, know what I want, and then there's no going back, because I like to pre-order and pay for it, and then I'll just wait for it, and it's secure. It's securely bought and everything before the final cutoff date. And so it helps me to just relax, knowing that I don't have to go to war every Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
And yeah, especially last year. Last year, March through September was horrible.
Yeah, and plus the budget sticks that way. And yeah, as I said, when you've bought it and you prepared for it already, but knowing what you like by reading what you already have, I think it helps to stick to the budget and what comes in.
Here's a question from Anjum. Are omnis and absolutes cheaper in the US? Example, Absolute Preacher Volume 1 costs $121 in India.
It depends if it's an out of print absolute or not. I would say an absolute is usually $100 cover price. So you could probably get it for $60, maybe 50 some dollars in America when it first comes out.
When it first comes out, yeah. Or if you pre-order it through DCBS like Joachim does, or if you get it on IST the day of. But if you wait, yeah, we'll have to pay $100 for the absolute if all of a sudden we decide we want that absolute or Omni later on. It's always a challenge to figure out what you want to get. I need to get away from the mindset of getting everything the day it goes on sale, because I got in that mindset last year because it was going out of print so quickly.
Even stuff you wouldn't think, even beyond omnis and absolutes, like even trade paperbacks and deluxe hardcovers go out of print. Stuff that would never usually go out of print. So it did feel like a manic Tuesday trying to get that stuff, and there'd be sometimes you'd miss out or just get that book before it sold out. And that was a terrible feeling.
Right, like with Last God, I read it on Hoopla, and when I went to get it from IST, it was gone.
That's a popular book for sure.
Yeah, which I didn't know, because I'm going to be doing a review video on it because so many people ask about it. But I was fortunate to find it on Amazon for a good price, which is also getting rare. Amazon has jacked up most of its prices on stuff.
I know one thing that's helping me to think about books that I buy and keep is this a book I would want to pass on to my son someday? Is this a book that I think is a representative of this character, representative of comics and what can it accomplish? I am the Dark Minister, so I should be careful what I give my son someday. I'm not going to give him Big Man Plans or Men of Wrath. Well, maybe when he's older, maybe. But you know what I mean, though? Thinking of that legacy, passing it on. Because one thing I'm hoping that he'll like comics, that I can pass on my love of comics to him. And it's like, well, this is a book that I don't want him to read. It's not that good. It's fine. Kind of like Joachim said, it's good enough, but it's not great. And so I want to make sure I'm not just keeping books around because I feel like I have to, or to maintain this big collection that looks cool. Because who really cares? You get 200 likes on Instagram, then it's over of your collection. It doesn't really matter what other people think about it. It's a quick hit of like, oh, people think my collection is awesome. I know whenever I posted my collection on Instagram, it felt good to have people say my collection looked great. And I have worked to create a collection that I enjoy. But I always tell people, hey, your collection's great too, no matter how big or small it is. Like people would be like, oh, my collection's so small. I wish my collection was like that. It's like, it doesn't really matter. Create a collection that you love, even if it's 5 books. As long as you love them, that's a great collection. Doesn't matter how big it is or small it is.
Yeah. So with my videos, I'm trying to make that statement to change the status quo. And I know I've been presenting myself, my own channel, with putting up a title of 900 books graphic novel collection just to get the attention to make the views to that video. But now and then when I get a comment on that video, now when I made an update on having half as much and everything, but whenever someone finds that video first, commenting on that's beautiful or I want that, I go so defensive in the comment section trying to speak about how you don't really want this. You think you want this right now because you don't have it. But just like Jim Carrey with everybody wants to be a millionaire until they become one, and then they find out that it's not it.
Right.
Because it's much more about the thought behind the book instead of all the books on why it's there.
We moved my wife's iMac into this room so I could do live shows, and she edits pictures in here now for her job, and she'll look around and be like, you have a lot of books. I'm like, oh, this is a bad idea. But then we left Jess's house, and I was like, do you think I have a lot of books now? She's like, not really. So thank you, Jess. That was a great service you provided me.
Well, that's good. I hope you benefited from it. What did she think of my statues? Did she say anything about all the female statues that I had?
She thinks they look nice, but she wouldn't want me to have those. I'll put it that way.
Okay, that's fair.
But she thinks they look nice, and it was just one of those things where she'd be like, I wouldn't want you to have those personally. Because of the money, there's the money aspect of it, how expensive they are.
Yeah.
And then I don't think she'd want me to have those particular kinds of statues in my collection. especially with growing a younger son getting older and
Well,
growing
that's
up
a
and
good
seeing.
point.
So there was no judgment. I just don't think she would want me to have those kind of statues.
Yeah.
But now, if she saw Deja Thoris, she'd probably be like, "I don't know about that one." So that statue didn't come in, Jess.
Fortunately, that statue is never coming in. It got sent back, and it will not be ever coming in.
But your wife was very supportive of you whenever we were down there and talking about your collection, and she was happy that I took some stuff off your hands. Though she was like, "God bless you, thank you."
My wife.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
took a bunch of books and the gauntlet off of you. She seemed very happy about that. I think she was happy to see stuff go. Like Joachim said, there's no magic number for a collection. I'm sure Patty has a magic number in there.
0. Yeah.
But I could tell that she's also proud of your basement setup, and I think she thinks it's cool. So
well, yeah, and it's given me a lot of purpose. My channel, Omni Bros, collecting in general, it's given me a lot of purpose as I've gotten older, and my purpose really used to be golf. I played golf all the time, and with all the physical problems I've been having, I just haven't been able to play golf at all, and my focus has switched to comic books. And she feels like it's given me kind of a new lease on life, that it's made me more enjoyable to be around. So she has a limit, but she also sees that it's I get excited about it, and I'm really it makes me happy, and that but she does like to see stuff leave the house. That's the key. There's always boxes leaving the house that she sees that I sell stuff.
we're trying to get our wives to do a show with us. Tyler Blunt's wife as well. What it's like to be married to a collector.
I would see that.
Jess will have to really monitor the chat to make sure no one's trying to jam him up too bad.
Well, I did a show with Patty for Valentine's Day a couple years ago on Omni Bros, and the chat was very respectful and nice. I think Kate's probably the only one who is a little reticent to appear on air, and so that's going to be up to her. Patty would love to be on air.
Yeah, she was so into the idea. She wanted us to have our mouths duct tape as the women talk.
Did Patty say that?
She was like, "Why don't you guys have your mouth duct tape while we talk?" I was like, "I don't know if I want to go that far," but she was so into the idea that she wanted us to be duct tape on air.
Here's a question for you, Joachim. This question won't get past the OmniDog anti-manga algorithm. Well, it did. But which manga series does Joachim recommend? Joachim.
Yeah, I mean, your gateway manga title for me is always Death Note. I recommend that to a lot of people if you want to get into it. And a current series that I'm reading right now, which is a typical shonen manga and a classic, is The Full Metal Alchemist. And my favorite manga series right now is the recently finished off Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan. Have you read the ones that I hear about all the time? Berserk?
No, but I've been intrigued to check it out thanks to this. I'm listened to the soundtrack for the character of Guts, and it sounded amazing. And I know it's for the anime series and everything, but I want to experience it in the manga form first and then check out the anime. But of course, as of recent events with his passing and everything, of course, it's not as easy to find those collected hardcover editions that I would like to have if I were to collect it. But I'm sure we'll see more of those later on. But yeah, I haven't read Berserk, but I will gladly do so when I have the time.
Yeah, Blade of the Immortal is another one that everyone tried to push on me. And I also read it. That's one that everybody else loves, was Blade of the Immortal.
Well, Jess, if people in our chat feel like they want to buy some books, where can they buy those books?
That would be... Okay, wait, I have to make sure I get my... I have to get my sponsors correctly because I go back and forth. DyingBreedCollectors.com You can get Marvel books this month for 10% off using the code OmniDog at DyingBreedCollectors.com.
And it's important to note that a lot of those Marvel books will already be discounted, so this is an extra 10% on that.
Right, and he packages carefully, and he's a very hands-on guy, so he will answer your emails quickly, and he will get those packages right out to you. That's DyingBreedCollectors.com, where someday I'll come up with a jingle, but I can't even get my own theme song to play on this. So the officialish Taylor Brown fan club says September's code is still Taylor, not Tyler, right?
It better be.
I don't see why not. It seems to be the people's choice.
Or Jess, what was the hashtag we started? Where is SSD Toys?
Yeah, where is SSD Toys?
We almost got Jenny Blunt on our last Baturdays, Jess. That would have been awesome.
That would have been
Tyler
awesome.
was legitimately sweating bullets.
He was definitely flipped out.
I don't see why, though. He acts like she doesn't know all this stuff, but he always tells her anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, I have this huge package coming in. And he ends up telling her. It's like, why'd you get us all up in arms about helping you? And
Yeah.
tell her anyway.
I was a 7 handicap, Mr. Tex. If that means anything to you, I assume that's what you're asking. Yeah, I was a 7 handicap. Towards the end, I was a 10 handicap, and now I can barely swing the club. So it's not. That was my life since I was 13. So I'm glad comics have helped fill the void.
Jess, look who is here in all caps.
Oh, Psycho Cleveland. Remember? Okay, what am I supposed to remember, Cycle?
You're about to be in trouble.
Probably.
I didn't know
that. This is a Howard Stern reference. Tantra plus tantra equals mantra. That's a completely inside. That's a way hardcore Howard Stern joke. So, so where else are we then? When it comes to your collecting and your collecting philosophy, do you when you make your DCBS order, say, do a certain amount of books have to always go out, or are you content now with what you have and adding to them?
Oh, there's no stress about it right now, because I may be right now when I'm pre-ordering. So what's going into the collection, it's in between like 2 or 3 titles. And it's usually a omnibus edition or maybe a new manga volume of a series that I'm following on there.
So it's not like 20 books are coming.
No, I never made a 20 book order. I think maybe 2.
Jess never has either.
Stop.
maybe 2 10s separately, but that's because of shipping and everything from Instax Trades to make it work and everything. But I mean, when I came to the realization that I'll never get back to my old comics, because I had the mindset that I'll read the new books first before I get back to something old. But I buy too much stuff. I buy more than I read in the month, so I'll never catch up with that mindset. So I'll have to buy less than I read. And I read I try to do review videos now of all the books that I read each month instead of all the books that I bought this month, to emphasize more on the reading part, more so than the buying part of it all. And from the latest videos, I read in between maybe 8 to 12 books per month, depending on the size of the books. And I get maybe 2 or 3 books in per month. And I'm not even touching those new books directly, because I'm making reading marathons that you two took up, I think last week or maybe the week before that, on getting into a character and then just storm right through it, because I feel that I get the most out of it by getting through the whole continuity. And as I'm, for example, reading my Batman books right now from start to finish of the books that I've collected, I discovered that some of the books are non-essential reads for me. So those I'll end up selling while I do that. And as I go through it, I started dividing between different event omnibus and everything that coexist with the Batman run. So starting to reread those and discover like a whole new sense of reading, because as people say that they have a problem with continuity, but if you read it like that as a reading marathon, it gets so much clearer, I would say, depending on what material you have, of course. But it helps me to eventually, as I read all of my Batman books, I'll get to my Grant Morrison Omnibus Volume 3. I'll get to that at some point. And eventually I'll get to Detective Comics Rebirth by Tinian, however you pronounce it. And so on and so forth, with all the books that are still in plastic wrap. But I know I'll get to them because I read more than I buy.
Here's a question from Lars. This leads into my next question. I'm wondering if this is a Swedish or a Scandinavian comic. Did you
I guess, I think Scandinavian. I think it's all over in Denmark, Finland, and Norway, Sweden. But no, I don't think I particularly read any of the Bamse comics.
That's a popular Scandinavian comic?
It's a cartoon bear. It's a whole animal kingdom and everything, with its own TV cartoon and everything. Probably the most popular figure actually for kids of a certain generation.
Cycle is lost when it comes to your Caligula of comics name, Jess.
Oh, Cycle.
I called Jess the Caligula of comics, and he acted offended at first, but then he embraced it.
Well, because our guest is a minimalist when it comes to collecting, and I'm a maximalist. And when I said that, the minister called me the Caligula of comics, and I was offended at first, and then I decided to lean into it.
Well, now that you're talking about that spectrum, if you're on the Caligula end of the spectrum and he's on the minimalist end of the spectrum, I guess I'm in the middle of the spectrum. So what would my name be? You're a maximalist, he's a minimalist. Would I be a... What would it
boring be? A minimalist.
Essentialist, maybe.
There you go. I like that a lot better than Jess's, because Jess was trying to be mean. I haven't tried to be mean this whole episode, but Jess just tried to stab me in the ribs there.
I mean, if you have a problem with the word minimalist and think that it means have nothing, which it doesn't, just change the ism of it.
I don't think we have a bad view of it. I think it's just something.
No, just in general.
It's one of those things where I think it was just an interesting dynamic of being a minimalist and a collector at the same time, because they seem diametrically opposed. But it seems like you really found a sweet spot for how to make it work.
You found what you're comfortable with that makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it makes you happy, why would you get rid of it? It's not about that. It's not about having less. It's about having more, actually, I would say. I have less clutter and less of a mess. I have maybe less books, maybe some less. I'm focused in on what I enjoy. And thanks to that, I have a little more time, a little more space, a little more connection, actually, and more sense of what I want to do and what actually makes me happy. So that's also something that colors minimalism in a way. It's so much more than just the physical stuff.
We have a new person in the chat, the Caligula of graham crackers. But I don't drink at all. But to drink minimalist is his joke. But
you do like those non-alcoholic mojitos, though.
Or what? Those things we had at lunch?
Yeah, you and Kate love those.
I generally don't get those because they're expensive as opposed to a Diet Coke. But but that was actually really good. I actually really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that whole lunch. That was really a good lunch.
I think right now for me, I'm trying to, like Joachim was saying about being careful about how much you get in versus how much you read. I think right now I want to have like an 80% read buffer, because with the size of my collection, a 20% reading pile gives me a lot of variety and choice, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to be like, well, I only have 5 books left to read. I'm not really interested in reading them right now because I never know what mood I'm going to be in. But it's been nice having these readathons where I kind of stick with them. Like I'm almost done with Transmetropolitan. Jess and I did a bunch of X-Men readathons. That's been really keeping me on track. And so I think that's really been helping me to whittle down my collection, but I'm still getting stuff in. So I feel like I'm in a sweet spot right now where I have a good buffer, where I feel like I have a lot of variety, but I'm not like drowning in books, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think both your philosophies, make you both happy, and that's why they work. You have to be happy in what you have. And I'm not unhappy with my collection, but the past couple months, I think both Taylor and Tilar Blunt have noticed a little bit of a change in me where I'm like, I have too much stuff. I've just all of a sudden taken a look at everything and I just have too much. Even if I was 30 years old, I think I would have too much, but I'm at the point where we're going to be downsizing at some point. A, I don't want to move this stuff. And B, I don't want to move this stuff. No, actually, I want to die before I have to move this stuff. I think I'm on record as saying. So,
we're going to put that on your tombstone. He died before he would move.
Right. I have a lot of books. Everything I have right now, I'm pretty sure I want to read. But I think there are huge chunks of stuff that I just haven't focused in on. If I really think about it, I doubt I'm really going to read them. Like the Golden Age stuff, probably Conan the Barbarian and Savage Sword. I mean, I enjoyed the first 2 books, but that is a lot of reading material. And
well, it's like Jess. It's like you always tell me you're running out of room. Like you have no room left. And it's like, okay, I can understand that. But then when I saw your collection, I was like, oh, he's actually right. Like it wasn't because I mean I only see that behind you and some other stuff. And right. I was like, oh, I'm sure he has some room. And I went in there and I'm like, no, he doesn't. Like you've like used that space. I mean, it looks fantastic. It's a great collection. It's really impressive. But you're right. You don't really have much room to put other stuff unless you get rid of stuff. So that's. I mean, we're all going to get to that point. Like I've been thinking about this too. At some point, I'm going to run out of room and need to either stop buying new stuff or sell old stuff. I'm not at that point now, but I could see it happening in a couple of years, unless I get a bigger space for my comics.
Yeah.
But it's at some point we all have to ask ourselves, should I stop buying stuff or start selling some stuff so I can get new stuff?
I mean, if you don't find the peak, it'll never stop, and you'll never have the time to go back. So what's the point in keeping all of those other stuff then if you just have time for the new stuff? That's how I argued with myself, having 5 Billy shelves. I mean, it's too much for me personally.
Well, Jess, if you clear out that sweater closet, that'd be nice for books.
Yeah. But
I mean, sweaters are in there, so I doubt that's happening.
But I mean, there's if you want to declutter your collection, there's different ways to go about it. But maybe it doesn't work as well for books as well as it would for just other stuff like clothing or just material stuff laying about. But maybe start with just putting 1 thing in the sell pile per day, and then on the second day you put 2 things there, on the third day you put 3 there, and so on and so forth for 1 month. And then by the end of it, you'll have like 300 stuff there ready to sell, whether it's books or something else. But then you'll have a lot of stuff to get rid of and some money back, some space back also.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely the time it would take to read those things or maybe watch those things if it's movies or something like that.
Oh, don't get me started.
Well, now that you're done with statues, that's going to be because Jess had a personal heartbreak recently that helped him to really go cold turkey on statues. So that's a big chunk.
We're not talking about Deja Thoris, right?
No. Well, there was that, but that was something you were thankful for. I'm talking about the Harley Quinn tragedy you had recently.
That really put me off statue buying because she's really hard to find.
This particular Harley you got in, because there's a ton of Harley statues, but there's one that you really wanted.
Yeah, it's the one from Mad Love where she's in the nurse's costume and she's blowing a heart in the statue is she's blowing a heart and she's in the nurse's costume, and people on eBay don't know how to list it, so it's hard to find it on eBay. It's way out of production on, out in the wild, and I found it for a really good price, and it came broken, and the guy had two of them, and he won't sell me the other because he thinks my mailman is cursed. He's like, I packed that very well, and I'm not sending you another because I don't want another broken statue. And I got my money back yesterday, so it's okay. But he he won't sell me the other one, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. The universe is telling me with Deja Thoris getting sent back and Harley coming broken, no more statues.
And I was trying to remind you, you have a lot of Harley statues already, so at least you have those. It's not like you don't have any. So you at least have them already.
I have purged myself of 4 or 5 Harleys that I got just because they were Harley, not because they made me happy. They didn't make me. I looked at them and I said, this doesn't mean as much to me as these other Harley statues. So I've sold 4 or 5 smaller Harley statues that just didn't mean anything to me, like from the Arkham games and stuff like that I just bought because it was Harley.
Someone commented that isn't it depriving of selling your stuff and everything? But I mean, I've sold off over 450 books, and I didn't rush getting rid of any of them. I reread a lot of them also in the process. So I know what I was doing at the time. And if you just don't point and then just put it on the pile to sell, I mean, if you actually take your time to it, to really think of it, I don't think you'll regret anything once you sell it off. And as we said earlier, also, as you focus on what you have, you won't think about the things that you sold as well.
And Jess and I were talking over the weekend that most omnis and deluxe hardcovers and absolutes, you'll at least sell them for what you bought them for the most part. Now, trade paperbacks, you usually take a loss on those, and even standard hardcovers. But with omnis and deluxe hardcovers and absolutes, you at least usually make back the money that you spent. Not always, but usually.
Yeah. But if you focus on like the financial part, I always see as a plus side, but it's not the main focus. It's about the getting back space and getting back time. If you focus on those two first, then it doesn't matter how little money you get for the stuff. You still win, and it's just an extra bonus for the money that you actually get. You can tell by eBay prices when people are selling stuff if they want to make a buck or if they just want to get rid of it.
Right.
By the starting price of it.
Right. And yeah, Joachim, actually, you have an interview with me that you're dropping on Monday. And we kind of talked about this a little bit. Yes. That I don't want to get to the point where I put myself in a financial situation that's bad. And then when something like a big bill comes in or an unexpected expenditure comes in, I have to sell a bunch of stuff. We've seen that happen so much in the Omnibus Collectors group, and it's always sad. You see people selling off their entire collection or selling off books that really mean a lot to them. And I don't want to be in that position. I don't want anyone else to be in that position. That's another reason why you should be careful of the amount of books that you buy. Not just because you don't have time to read them, not just because of space, but also you don't want to put yourself in a bad position financially. We're down the road. You just sell those same books at a loss to pay your bills. So that is a big deal because it is an expensive hobby.
No doubt. I mean, when I was featured on Omnibros 2 or 3 years back, and Jess and Gabe, I think, were with me backstage before I went into it, before we started. and they asked me if there was any question that I didn't want to have answered. And I said, please don't mind asking me how I can afford this. Because at the time I was hustling in a lot of books, making those haul videos each and every month. And each and every one was more bigger than the next. And I think I took some money from my savings account, not so that I would go into a negative number in any sort of way, but I mean, taking money that maybe could have gone to something else than books and your hobby, instead of just taking that out of your monthly budget at the time. And I mean, I guess I was a little bit ashamed of that, because people always ask, how much do you spend? And it's a sensitive subject, but I'm come to be more comfortable with it, because as you just said, I hate to see the situation of people buying a bunch of books out of the fear of missing out, not really knowing what they're buying because they only heard that this is a great run. And then they find themselves in the financial situation of, I don't have any money left, but I have a lot of books in shrink wrap that I can get the same amount of money back for.
Right. So there's a lot of reasons to be careful about how much you buy. Financial, space, time, a lot of things to be thinking about. Which, Jess, you've had a bunch of those episodes with Lewis McGregor before in the past talking about this.
I love those.
Yeah, and Lewis really takes it to heart about selling stuff off. I haven't talked to him recently, but he definitely once he's done, he's at the point now when once he's done reading something, he will sell it off. He doesn't even want to have a collection anymore. He used to be big into statues. I don't think he's collecting them anymore, and I think he sold off a lot. It looks like he's concentrating more on his work and beating Americans in Madden 2022 or whatever the football game is. And here's Tolga. How's it going, Tolga?
Yo.
And I have actually missed a bunch of things in the chat, but yeah, we went over budgeting a lot. Probably the last one we did was 2019, but I'm taking. There it is.
Awesome.
I not only got to play with it at Jess's, I got to take it home with me. So thanks, Jess.
You're welcome. See, if you visit me, you never go home empty-handed.
It has a small scuff mark on it where Kate dropped it on the ground, but leaving Jess's house.
Oh, I didn't know it left a mark.
It did, yeah. It's kind of funny, though.
In her defense, it was upside down. She didn't know.
Now, when you say empty-handed, was that a try on another pun, or
no? No, I always give stuff away to visitors, unless it's Omar who just takes stuff.
Yeah, someone was asking earlier if Jess is the Caligula of comics. What is Omar?
I don't know. I still have to be friends with him, so I don't want to. Well, he'd say anything he wants, but I don't know if I'm the Caligula. I don't know what that makes him.
The Nero of comics.
Nero. Lars has a question for you, Joachim.
Okay. I sell on a Swedish version of eBay, which is called Tradera. So I guess it's just the Swedish marketplace for it. And it's just an auction bidding site, just as eBay. But it's you can make your ads go out worldwide or just to Scandinavia. But I just sell within the country itself. I find that a lot of other collectors might not be aware of all the other resources and everything, or they think that shipping it in from US and paying for shipping and everything is not worth it. So when they find it secondhand, they find it worthy to actually lay a bid on and everything. And I'm fairly good with my prices also, and I always lower them down each and every week if it doesn't sell anyway. So there's nothing that I want to get rid of that I haven't gotten sold eventually.
What's the comic book presence like in Sweden? Like, how big is the fandom? Like, what's that really like? What are the conventions like there? If you have, and you talked about going to them before.
I mean, my local comic shop is in the next town over, just 30 minutes drive from here, and it's in an old. I mean, it's a remodel the bicycle storage just beneath an apartment building. It's cozy. I think I have a tour video of it on my channel somewhere, and yeah, I used to play card games there and buy manga books, and then started with comic books. And I mean, there is an audience for it, but I don't meet a lot of them. Not now, when I only order online also, but I did used to have a pull list and everything. And then really, um, just annually when I went up to Stockholm and went to the Comic Con, I was really reminded of the presence of comic book collectors and gamers and everything, because when they have all of that media, you don't know really why everyone has come there, if it is for the comic books themselves or if it's just all the other media presence of celebrities and new games being solicited and everything. But I mean, the culture is there and it's really strong.
That is interesting to know, because given how difficult the past year has been just for us to get some of our books, I've always wondered how European and Scandinavian, we've heard from Malaysian people from India. I always wonder how the culture has been doing there and what it looks like. I just got a picture from Farhan from Malaysia, and his comic shop in Malaysia is all he showed me were the statues, but it's got some really nice statues that I was happy to see that he had access to. Now, I don't know how much they were, but at least he had access to them, because I've been worried that with how difficult it is to get books, overseas places could be drying up. And I'm glad to hear that in Sweden that it's still thriving, at least. Would you say it is still a thriving community?
Yeah, it feels like Comic-Con is getting bigger each and every year. That's really when I get the chance to measure it all, because I always run around with my camera filming everything, because I just love to document the experience. And now it's been over 2 years since I visited it, so I'm very curious on how it will look this year. And by the end of November or the beginning of November, we should have a Comic-Con, if nothing else would turn to the worst again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited to see how it has, if it has changed in any way after everything that has been.
Mr. Tex says, as much as I love your bombshells collections and joke about Deja Thoris, I try very hard to stay away from statues and figures, Jess. And I think that's good, Mr. Tex. Whatever makes you happy. If statues and figures are not for you, or you're too worried they'd be a black hole for you, or you don't want to go down that rabbit hole, so to speak, I have nothing but love for anybody's collection. Whatever you collect, it has to make you happy. And that's, the whole reason I have this channel is because I want comics to be fun for everybody. So I never present anything with the idea that you should be like me. You should always collect what makes you happy.
Well, Mr. Tex, I used to try really hard to stay away from figures. Look how that turned out. I can't ever go down the statue route, though. But so figures, it also can be a black hole, though, as Jess and Tyler can attest to.
It took us a while. It took us some time to break down that shield you had built up around you, but we got a crack in that shield, and you now have what, 27 or
28, I think.
28.
I wanted to prove Jess wrong, because I once had like 5 figures, and Jess said, "You're not an action figure collector," like a gatekeeper would say, and I proved him wrong. So that's why I've been doing this out of spite.
And did you think that made me happy, or
No,
angry that you proved me wrong?
Probably happy.
Very happy.
But I really do love the figures that I have, though.
What's that?
I really do love the figures that I have, though.
Well, that's important, and that's why I don't think your collection's going to grow out of hand, because you're
I'm pretty
only
picky.
collecting exactly what you like.
Like, I was at Target I think a month ago, and I texted you about it, Jess, where they had Ultron there from the latest Villain Wave, and I was like, "This is cool," but like, I have no connection to Ultron. Like,
Right.
There's no comic I love of him. The movie Age of Ultron is fine. It's not one of my favorite Marvel movies. And so I was Jess always has those figures within. It's a cool figure, but I can't just buy a figure because it looks cool. I have to have a connection to them from a comic book, as a character that I really love. There has to be a reason why I'm buying that figure. It can't just be because it looks cool, because there's so many figures that look cool. So that can't be my only stipulation.
Yeah. Well, you've set a parameter for yourself, just as Joachim has, and as I need to. And I did set a parameter for myself on these figures, the Super 7 Simpsons figures. 2016, Jess would have bought all of them. And these are some deep cuts on figures, like the robot Itchy and Scratchy from the Itchy and Scratchy Land one episode, or Homer as the astronaut, and Mo with the panda. So I could have justified easily getting all of them, but I only ended up getting Poochie because I love Poochie, and that was only one episode too, but he made a big impact on me as how much fun they were poking at themselves, as well as just American consumerism and everything. And I really loved the Poochie episode. So I only got one, Jake. That one. Let's see. Did you see the Unmasked Red Hood? I did, and I'm not going to get that because I like Masked Red Hood.
I wish they would release the Masked Red Hood in a single pack, because they just released it in the 2-pack with Nightwing.
The Masked Red Hood?
Right.
He was by himself, but he's out of production.
Really? I thought the Masked Red Hood only came with the Nightwing in a 2-pack.
No, I have Masked Red Hood by himself that I got right before it went out of production. I had no idea it was going out of production, but that's one of those rare McFarlane figures that is actually overpriced on eBay, because most of the time you can walk into Target and just pick one up.
Right. Matthew Mongi, we need a little more information before we answer that question, because, like, what are some characters you're into? Are you more of a DC, a Marvel person? Do you want Star Wars figures? Give us somewhere to start. Me and Jess can give you some recommendations.
Do you collect anything besides Omnis, Joachim?
I mean, besides graphic novel collections and everything, I mean, I buy 4K Blu-rays now.
Oh,
I try to upgrade my library, and with that, the same sort of mindset going through that, because at least on the movies, you have a set time on how much you're spending on each and every series and movie. But yeah, I'm upgrading to 4K on all the movies that I enjoy and have rewatched several times. So since I do that so often, I was thinking, yeah, I'll just buy this in the best possible format and enjoy it to the fullest.
Didn't you used to have a couple statues, or am I imagining that?
Yeah, I did. I used to have 2 Sideshow premium format statues in 1/4 scale. I had the Batwoman premium format and the Huntress from DC Comics.
Ooh.
The theme was
Jess is like, I'm back in the game.
the theme was women that
Huntress
doesn't give a
cool.
crap on what Batman says to them.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think I've seen Batwoman. You must have had her a long time ago. Am I right?
Yeah, it was before I moved back here. I sold them to pay for 2 months rent, because I was renting this apartment that I'm living in now secondhand. And when the person that stayed here renting it secondhand moved out because I was coming back, I had to pay for both this place and the place that I was staying at the same time. So I got rid of those just to take a smaller hit. when it comes to paying rent. And it justified because I wouldn't have fit those in this apartment now anyways. I felt that with statues, I always appreciate the fact of having negative space around them in order to make them stand out more and shine a spotlight on them. Because when they stand too much together, I think you don't, each and every one doesn't get the attention that they deserve, because your eyes will only pan to the next one and never just stop and just look and admire. So,
Right.
and I couldn't
agree with that,
I couldn't
even though I
justify
haven't
them.
done it.
Now I want a Batwoman McFarlane figure.
I want a Batwoman. I want a Batwoman statue. DJ says just his eyes glazed over when mentioned his two statues. I haven't seen a Batwoman statue, so I assume I'm not going to get it, but I just want to see it. So I'll go on eBay afterwards because I'm quite sure it's out of production now at Sideshow.
It was beautiful. It was my favorite piece of them. But yeah, at the time I just couldn't justify keeping it, because the way I had it placed in the room was, so if I would sit on my couch now watching TV, the screen, they were to my left in a cabinet with lighting, doors for it, and pushed on the lighting each time I was in the room. And that was pretty much what it was, because I never looked at them. They were only like flashing lights in the periphery of my eyesight. So I never really looked at them, but I knew they were there. But I don't think I gave them the attention they deserved.
Okay, I'm looking up Batwoman.
In 5 minutes from now, I'm buying Batwoman.
No.
The point with this was to declutter his collection, and now he's adding a statue for $500.
Sideshow. I just want to see what it looks like.
It's probably not. You probably can't even buy it anymore unless you buy it secondhand.
Oh yeah, I don't think so.
Sounds like it was. Someone said 5 years ago.
Oh, then that's probably out of production.
And Matthew Mongi mentioned a Dr. Afra figure. Jess, they had one, right? But that's like impossible to find.
Yeah, it's whoa. It's gorgeous and it's $1,000. So I'm pretty sure I'm not getting it, but it is gorgeous. Actually, let me look so I can share it with the audience. That Dr. Afra figure sold out pretty quickly, and last time I looked, it was around $90, which I couldn't justify. As much as I like Dr. Afra, I'm not spending $90.
If you do love Star Wars, I can wholeheartedly recommend the Boba Fett figure from Black Series. It has so many accessories. You have the fire coming out. You have his jetpack. The Mando and Child, I'm not sure how easy that is to get now. I got it off Target 2 months ago when Tyler sent me the link. But some other, he likes Marvel. My favorite Marvel figure in my collection is the Punisher on the motorcycle. I love that figure. Do you have that one, Jess?
Not on the motorcycle. I know you like it, but I don't have him on the motorcycle because I already have a Bat Cycle and I have a Cosmic Ghost Rider, and they take up too much room with their motorcycle.
I do want that Cosmic Ghost Rider. That one's pretty expensive though. It's like 60 bucks for that. I mean, it's just an expensive figure, even originally. In general? Yeah, because I mean, it comes with a motorcycle, so that ups the price.
Let me highlight myself and see if this is the figure. I mean, I'm sorry, the statue you had.
Yeah, that's the one.
That is really cool.
She's got guns. Like,
yeah, I have the exclusive. So I always portrayed her with the guns, actually.
Okay, so that was the exclusive with the guns in her hands. You're saying?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. McFarlane has to make a figure of Batwoman. I would definitely buy that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Batwoman in Detective Comics was like the best Batwoman since.
I love Greg Rucka's run of Batwoman.
Yeah, and J.H. Williams' unfinished run. Okay, yeah, no, I don't need it for $1,000. It's Boss though.
Yeah, Matthew, it's Doctor Strange is a character that's really hard to get in terms of a figure, but the What If wave that Marvel Legends is doing is going to have a Doctor Strange figure. So you might want to look into that one.
I have a couple Doctor Strange figures that aren't movie figures. They're comic figures.
The hard thing with Marvel Legends is once you kind of go out of circulation for a year, they're harder to get unless you want to buy them for a little more money on eBay.
Yeah,
I think McFarlane figures definitely stay in circulation a lot longer than Marvel Legends.
totally. Okay,
I usually don't freak out about getting McFarlane quickly. Very rarely. But with Marvel Legends, you have to jump on them pretty quick.
God, even the box is beautiful on this statue. Oh, where'd he go?
I'm
Oh,
here.
even the box is beautiful on this.
He went back to go buy it again. He missed it.
I was checking the battery on my camera.
We had a question up earlier that Jess doesn't have to look for, but someone asked, is there like a really popular character in Sweden, or is that like an impossible question to ask?
Yeah.
It's like, is there a comic character that's probably the most well-known, or?
No, not outside of Sweden, and I don't really buy anything that is published in Sweden right now.
Well, I mean, is there a comic character that's really popular in Sweden, like Batman's, Spider-Man?
Oh, you mean like still the American superheroes and everything?
Right.
Yeah,
I think someone was asking that question.
Yeah, we don't really translate any of the titles anymore into the newspaper rack or anything because people are not interested in that in the mainstream. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see a lot of Spider-Man and Batman cosplay whenever I go to Comic-Con. More Spider-Man, I would say. I think it's more of a Spider-Man country, actually.
M-Man 40. I'm glad statues never interested me at all, except that Deja Thora statue might have converted me.
Well, Jess definitely would have been the Caligula of comics with that Deja Thora statue in there.
I will say, even though it's incredibly revealing, the detail on that thing is amazing, which is what made me buy it. And
if you had bought that, that wouldn't have been a good justification for your wife.
The detail,
honey, the detail on it. Look at it.
Yeah, that's why it got sent back, because UPS knew I was never going to be able to display it. I don't know why. It was like 1 minute of weakness in my 24-hour day, but that's all it takes. And it's just had such incredible detail. But yeah, there's no way I could display that thing. I'm so glad it got sent back. I couldn't possibly have displayed it. And it was admittedly a stupid thing for me to do.
I love that episode from 2 weeks ago where we revealed secrets about ourselves, Jess, and that was your secret of the day.
I wasn't going to tell anybody.
Oh, it was a great story. The best is ever your wife was like at the door while you were telling it, and you're like, hello?
She was, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was hilarious. I was just like, oh gosh, like we're about to see Jess murdered on camera.
She didn't hear it though.
Because you're like, yeah, I had it delivered to the UPS center to go pick up. What, sweetie? What? I was like, uh-oh. That worked. It worked out for the best.
It did. Yeah. Wait, is there? Okay, Hip Hop Omni Dog's in the chat. Now I think Hip Hop Omni's different than Calligraphic Omni, but I'm not sure.
There's too many of them now.
I'm losing track. Yeah. No, I'm not putting any statues on the floor, DJ. That just screams broken in the first minute.
I think one of my favorite parts of your collection I saw in person was the jukebox and the diner setup. That was really cool. It was cool listening to the jukebox for a while we were down there.
I really like that, actually. It
was cool.
Authentic.
Yeah, it was straight from a bar, because when we opened it to put our own 45s in, all this smoke came pouring out. It smelled just like a bar. Did you get to play much pinball? Because I know the Patty played it.
Kate played it a little bit, then I played it a little bit.
Okay.
Not a ton. I think I had to play a round or two. It was fun though.
Yeah.
Patty almost got to that one super high level or something, or she got something, right?
She came down. I was doing something, I think maybe Tuesday. She's starting to get into it more, which I really appreciate because I want it to be used. But if you, there's a way on the table that if you knock down the targets for all the dilithium crystals, this ramp opens up, and if you shoot a ball into the ramp, on the screen, the figures transport and disappear as if they're transporting down to the planet. And there's all kinds of music and stuff that goes on for it. And then you can get from there, you can get to multi-ball, where you get 3 balls going at a time. And that's when my wife panics. She goes, what am I supposed to do? There's 3 balls. And I go, okay, just play one at a time. Watch it. Okay, there's that one. And hold one on your flipper. And so I coached her through it. But yeah, it's fun.
Doc Collector wants me to tell everybody about the sandwich I ate. Jess is the one who posted that. We both had the same exact sandwich.
Where is that?
At 527.
527. Oh, okay.
Jess and I both had the best shrimp po' boys of our lives. That was awesome. Great sandwich.
I think I can, if I can, I believe I can find that and share it. Let's see. Yeah, here we are.
Doc Collector doesn't know what a po' boy is.
Okay, well, I'll show you, and I will show you the Harley Quinn statue that got broken.
Yeah, Doc Collector, a po' boy is like a poor man's sandwich is kind of how they got it. It's usually a fried oyster, which Jess would never eat, or I. It's fried oyster or fried shrimp on a sandwich, on a bun. And it's really, well, the fried shrimp is actually really good. The fried oyster is not so much. But it comes with this really good sauce. Comes with lettuce and tomato. It's awesome.
Here's the sandwich. I'm going to share these in just a sec.
And yeah, Johnny, we are talking about Jess's Star Trek pinball machine. That's the only one that he has right now.
Yeah. Okay, let me share. What's a shrimp? Yeah, you live in Scotland. You might not know official tailors.
I always get annoyed with Tyler. Tyler lives in Mississippi, one of the 2 best states for shrimp in the entire U.S., and he hates them. It's like, what a waste. You live right next to the Gulf, and you don't even eat shrimp.
Here's Comic Bound back. Highland G, fancy running into you here. What a coincidence with the timing. There must be a joke between them. Maybe they just did a show together. Yeah, well, we're glad to have you guys. Let me share the sandwich and my Harley Quinn statue. That video file? No, share screen. Oh, wait. I need to blow them up. Okay, first I will show you the sandwich. And it's shrimp with lettuce and peppers, spicy pickles, and special sauce.
Those fries are really good, too.
I don't think I even got to them. The sandwich was really one of the best things I've ever had.
Mr. Tex, is that po' boy as good as George's favorite calzone? George is in the building. Costanza!
There it is.
Hungry for my calzone. That sandwich was. I've had a lot of po' boys, even in New Orleans, which has usually the best. This might be my favorite I've ever had. It's definitely in the top 3. It might be we're going back to New Orleans hopefully sometime in the next year or 2. So I'll get back to you, Jess.
Well, the bun was really awesome too. Besides the shrimp, the bun was great. And let me go to the Harley Quinn.
Giant size homie dog. Holy cow, that sandwich is fit for the Caligula of anything.
It really wasn't. All I ate was that sandwich, and that was it. Here's the Harley Quinn one that came with the broken leg.
Oh.
Yeah, the break was like right where that M is, right?
Yeah, right around here. I mean, I have a picture of the break if you want to see it.
We don't want you to relive the trauma.
It was pretty traumatic because I was so excited that I had found it for a good price.
Yeah, you texted me pretty not distraught, but you were bummed.
I will say I was pretty distraught. I was pretty bummed. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't tearful. No, Matthew. He had a replacement. You came in just a little bit late, but the dealer had a replacement, and he felt my mailman was cursed, and he wouldn't send it to me.
He didn't say curse, did he?
He
said
said,
curse?
I can't trust your mailman because he thought he packed it so well, and he really didn't pack it so well. But I tested him out by buying something else from him, and it was well packed because I wanted this so badly. He wouldn't send me the other one because he felt my mailman did something to it, or just didn't handle it. I mean, my mailman has nothing to do with it. My mailman took it from the truck and brought it to the front door. It was everybody between that guy and me that handled it. So it wasn't the mailman. But no, I didn't get a replacement.
Did you get your money back?
I did, yeah, yesterday. He was fine about it. And I sent it to him. eBay was fine with it. They sent me a first class label, so that had to cost somebody money because it was a big box to ship first class. And yeah, I got my money put back in my account, and I'm leaving it there. I know it's hard to believe, but I've learned my lesson. Unfortunately, on Harley, she's not for me.
Well, Harley is, but just not that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking. I mean, she's your girl, right?
Hashtag Harley Quinn is overrated, as Tyler Blunt would say.
I was saying wrong channel there.
Yeah. To be fair, you can't trust any mailman. That's why packing is important, right? Making something completely mail-proof is almost impossible, though. This is probably I got something from Australia. Two cover girls from Australia, and they were fine because the seller had them in the DC. Well, all statues probably come in that sort of foam, styrofoam, where everything has a place. And if you fit them in properly, even if you shake it, it's not going to move. And they're very, I would say well, I wouldn't tempt the shipping gods, but I mean, I got two statues from Australia and they were fine. And this guy, I don't think he put it in the box in the styrofoam properly, because first of all, he lied. He said opened only to inspect. Well, the little silicone packs weren't in there. So that means he displayed it and then stuck it in there and shipped it. So I know he was lying about that. So
Matthew Mongi has a piece he wants to draw for you, Jess.
Will you draw me Mad Love Harley?
He just posted his comment to 534.
That's not a picture you need to draw for me, Matthew. If you could draw me Nurse Harley from Mad Love, I'd love that. The statue that just got broken.
Make sure you put the crack. Make sure you draw the crack in there in the leg too.
You're a dark minister. I will pay. Listen to that laugh. You've even got an evil laugh now. I will. I'll actually commission you, Matthew, to draw that for me and color it in.
Wait, Alexandra, you have to put out. I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. The UPS left my package inside my barbecue. Wait, they went like into your grill and like put the package in there and closed it. I have to know. I have to know more about this.
Yeah,
you all agree?
It? Is your barbecue in front of your house, or
were you eating barbecue and they put it inside the barbecue food, or did they put it in your grill? Because I have to understand what. I can't sleep tonight until I know about this more. I have to know what happened here.
Yeah, I that is an odd thing, and to not tell you that they did that.
Put it in your barbecue. You might open up your grill, like put on the gas and open it up, being like, "Oh, what happened here?" No cycle. We weren't able to do a live show from Jess's basement, but Jess and I are planning a visit. Hopefully, we can come and visit me this fall, and we'll probably do a live show then.
And let's take back his Infinity Gauntlet.
Well, yeah. Jess is very intrigued by I have like 20 comic book stores within like 30 minutes of me.
That's amazing.
And some of them I found a lot of great stuff. I'm not gonna say where because I don't trust any of you guys.
No,
but
don't.
I'm not saying where. But Jess is intrigued and he wants to come up and experience this. We're to go hunting for the first time. And Jess, you haven't gone hunting in like a couple of years, right?
Well, yeah, I didn't go hunting at all last year. I don't know that I hunted that much in 2019 either. So it'll be probably the first time if I come up this fall, it'll be the first time in 3 years I've done a real solid hunting tour.
Yeah, and Comic Bound is surprised by how many comic book stores I have within me. But I sent you the picture of the map of my area, didn't I, Jess?
Yeah. And I have the only one I can think of is Third Eye Comics, which is an hour away from me.
I live in a pretty major city, so one of the top 20 is one of the top 20 cities in America, so it makes sense.
What?
I mean,
outside of Washington D.C., I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm just saying in terms of population, I live in a pretty populated area, so maybe I'm not saying we're bigger than D.C., but well, we have the city itself is bigger, but I'm just saying it's a decent sized city. It's not like I'm talking about Jackson, Mississippi, where Tyler lives. where they got a Walmart last week.
No, I hunt comic books. And Alexander says, oh, wait, he did say it just said delivered.
We have to know, was it actually put in your grill and it was closed and they walked away? Yeah. Is that what you're talking about? Because I have to understand this.
And where is your grill? Is your grill like in your front yard or in the porch? Maybe
the grill is right next to the mailbox. he grills on the street.
Maybe he thought it would be safe there and nobody would take the package, so he just hid it there.
Yeah, if he's got a porch pirate problem, then yeah. Yeah, I hunt whales, Duck Collector. I don't hunt anything else. It was in his backyard.
Wow. Inside the grilling area. Okay, thank you. I just had to know that. And I did just get a major whale in for me this past week, and Jess is excited about it because it means we can finally read and review these books on his channel, and that's Punisher Noir.
Nice.
I'm really excited about. We got it for cover price off of eBay, thanks to Travis Gilmer, who I think was here earlier. So, Travis, if you're here, thank you so much. I really appreciate letting me know about this. He gave me the heads up. Every other copy was like $60 on eBay, and I'm not going to pay that for any book. It's only $15 cover price.
That is a solid favor he did for you because we've been wanting to do that Crime Corner forever.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing – that's our Crime Corner after the upcoming one.
Oh, it is? Okay, good. That's a lot of books.
Yeah, so right now, our next Crime Corner is going to be this upcoming Friday at 4:30, and we're going to be doing the Crime Noir Omnibus by Bendis. So I'm excited about that, too.
Nice.
Well, we can go on answering questions, but I think you need to get going probably.
Because I'm in the middle of just making interviews, and you both should know that because I've interviewed you both, but I just haven't posted any of those videos yet. But I have my own segment on my channel where you can check it out on Joachim Comic Center. The links is down below. I believe that Jess has provided that.
Yes, there is a link in the description to his channel.
Yes, and you'll see next week, already on Monday, you'll find me and Minister of Comics discussing the comic book fandom on Finding Fandom. And the week after that, you'll have Jess featured on it as well.
Woo!
So, yeah, it's funny how it is when you pre-record all your live streams and everything, but it works for me. Thank you two again for having me here and also for doing those interviews with me.
Well, thank you for being here. And just as a last reminder, let's hear how you say the number 7 in Swedish.
I'll give you one.
Count from 1. Why don't you count from 1 to 7?
I'll give you one better. I'll say 777 in Swedish.
Oh my goodness.
So impressive. 777.
I want to capture that and make a song out of it.
Maybe Nate Burkholz make a song out of it.
Yeah. Okay. Say it one more time.
So instead of a 666 song, it's 777 song. Lucky
Yeah.
song.
One more time.
One more time. I'm just a pet for you, am I? 777. 777.
Joakim, he wants you a part of his Caligula collection where you just sit in the corner and say 7 whenever he wants you to.
Say 7.
Say 777.
77. Okay, go back to
77 monkey.
Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep.
Okay, I'm definitely having that animated. It's going to cost me money, but I'm having it animated. Thank you so much for being on. The description is in the chat for Joachim Comic Center and his series of comic interviews and other things that he does, his minimalist collecting ability. And we had a lot of fun with you. And Minister of Comics, where can they find you? You will be also highlighted in the description.
You can find me at Minister of Comics on Instagram, where I post hauls, reviews, a bunch of other stuff. I did a reel recently of Jess's basement, which was thankfully pretty popular. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely watch that if you get the chance.
I think that was one of the greatest things ever done in my name, having to do with me or anything. That Willy Wonka theme was so great.
Most of the views come from Jess's family, I think.
Yeah, my family loved it.
I think Patty and your daughter represent like 1,000 of the views.
And you can find me, OmniDog, on this channel. I will be doing review videos very soon, and as I'm starting to feel better. And you can find me on Instagram, OmniDogs_vault. So please go to DyingBreedCollectors.com, where you can get 10% off your Marvel books with the code OmniDog. And please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. Go to our guests' YouTube site. And peace and love. Peace and love. Thank you all for tuning in. The chat was a lot of fun today. Thank you all so much.